Wow. Wow, everybody. You know, mm, interesting. We are living in some interesting times, wouldn't you say? Well, first things first, I will say this, first and foremost, definitely if you haven't done so already, check on your Cowboys fan friends. They are not okay. I don't care that they won today. This right here, it hurts. It hurts them. We ruined the cherry on top for their weekend. Um, you know, they let the Giants put 37 on them. We held the Chiefs to 17. Really, we held them to mostly 10 points most of the game, but so let's get down to the brass tacks of everything, what happened today. And we're going to talk about, what the Philadelphia Eagles and how, we were looking. Jalen Hurts was 15 to 22 for 101 yards. Um, Saquon Barkley had 22 touches for 88 yards and a tutty. His average was 4 yards per carry. Devontae Smith had 6 targets with 4 receptions, 53 yards. AJ again, eight targets for 5 catches for 27 yards. And Grant Calcaterra, who filled in for Dallas Goedert, had 2 targets for 1 catch and 6 yards. Granson, the other tight end, had 1 catch for 5 yards. Jahan Dotson, 1 catch for 4 yards, and John Mechie, who we saw play some significant snaps, had 1 catch. Travis Kelsey, going on the other side. First, let's look at Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes was 16 for 29, for 29. He had 187 yards. His rating was 72.1. Jalen Hurts' passer rating was 78. Uh Patrick Mahomes ran for 66 yards in a tutty. Kareem Hunt had 8 attempts for 31 yards. Isaiah Pacheco had 10 attempts for 22 yards. So they was pretty much their running game was pretty much stifled outside of Patrick Mahomes. Travis Kelsey, he had 6 targets for 4 catches and 61 yards, and that was probably it. Thornton, their wide receiver, had 5 targets for 2 catches for 59 yards. Hollywood Brown had 5 targets for 5 catches with 30 yards. Um, Nothing that really jumps out. Defensively, the Eagles did their job. Quinyon Mitchell had a hell of a game. Adoree Jackson still seems to get burnt at times, but and then Jahad Campbell had a questionable roughing the passer call, but it's whatever, but he did well. Of course, Zach Bond did good. I mean, look, y'all, this is only week 2. I said it was a tune-up game. We got to see what we look like against a formidable opponent. It was everything that I said it was going to be, which is the sunset of the Chiefs' kingdom, sunrise of the Eagles dynasty, and so it has begun. We have to, take this win, celebrate it for a little bit of time. Then we got to turn the page. We got the Rams next weekend, y'all. That's going to be a tough team to play against. So we got to hurry up and turn the page on this and get started with week 3. A lot of things are balanced play calling, I would say, to a degree. I mean, again, I would like to see Saquon get some more yards, but at the same time, that was what Steve Spagnuolo was counting on. I said it yesterday that I felt like, Spags was going to game plan like he did in the Super Bowl to stop the run. And, AJ and Devontae, came up with some good catches, but we got to get that passing game going a little bit better. I know like right now it's looking like we're just a run first team, which we are, but we got to get that passing game has to be tightened up a bit. But again, it's only week 2, and these are what we call tune up. The first 4 games are tune up games, and so That's what we're doing. We're trying to get ourselves right. We got to get it. Kevin, this is only Kevin Patullo's second game, called, so still got some things to do. I said at halftime I wanted to see what the halftime adjustments were going to be, if I was going to like them or whatnot, and I did. To be honest with you, that's the Kansas City Chiefs at an Arrowhead, and we held them to just 17 points. And we scored 20 on them. So again, defense did its job. As long as we hold teams to under 21, to under 24, we're more likely to win the game, and that seems to be holding true. So right now, the Eagles are what, 16-1, and going all the way back to through the playoffs of last year. Not bad, not bad. Still a lot of good on, a lot of good on bad things we got to clean up. Jordan Davis went down. I think he had like either a cramp or something was going on with that hammy. So look for that to be something of an issue. We think we're going to have to make sure that's looked after somewhat well. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, y'all. Donald, what's good? What up, my Eagles brother? Leo never looked so good. Fly, Eagles, fly. Joe Damasio win. Oh, is a win. Congrats, Leo. Thank you, Joe. Eagles win game today. That's right, little Griffith. David Geldner. I personally feel the Eagles put on an incredible performance, really stepped up when it mattered most yet again. Everything most important was good. I I second that motion. Zaddy, Bond called a run. He pointed where it'd be. Yup, he did. I said our linebacker group is going to be the best in the league. You know, um, Joe Damasi says your team and my team got a new offensive corner. How would you rate your offense this year? I would say that it's still evolving. I want to see a little bit more of a balanced attack. Being offense. I mean, run to pass. So I want to see a little bit more in that. Linda Conyers, my girl, she said Mark and them over there on some serious opium. Eagles 60. Linda, listen, you're gonna have to give Mark and them some grace. First of all, I'm sure that they were watching that game with great anticipation, hoping that we were praying that we were going to lose. They had a rough day. Okay. At the end of the day, the New York Giants went into their house, okay, and put up 37 on them and almost beat them. So again, but if they were like me, I would be like, I don't give a shit. If we won by 3 points or if we won by 30 points, a win is a win, and that's right. So I think the Cowboys are what, 1-1, which would make them tied for second, I think. I think no, yeah. No, they might be in third because the Commanders would be yeah, the Commanders are in second place. And I don't know. I gotta wait for the standings to update themselves, but I know the Giants are in last place, and the Cowboys and the Commanders are like are in second and third, something like that, or maybe even tied for second. I just know that we're in first place right now in the division, and I do expect us to win the division, to be honest with you. So, we'll see. Eagles 3-0 versus Kansas City since the Super Bowl 52 loss. That's correct. 57 loss. Joe Damasi, I think they're behind Washington right now. Okay, yeah. See, that's what I was thinking, Joe. I'm not entirely sure. Once the standings update themselves, I think we'll have a better feel for how that's going to look standing wise. But listen, guys, I mean, it was everything that I expected it to be. I expected it to be a dogfight. I said that the score was going to be 28-14, and it ended up being 20-17. So okay, and I know, listen, y'all, you know, I know Mark and his brethren over there are so pissed, and they're probably going to try to spin this to be a good thing. However they do is what they do. I really don't care. I ain't got to worry about them until week 12. So fuck them as far as I'm concerned. But the next thing, we what we got to do is we got to go ahead and put this one in the rear view right now and get ready for the Rams. The Rams look good today. The Rams, let me make sure I got this right. Yeah, they beat the shit out of Tennessee, 33-19. So that's probably going to be our next big test, and I'm looking forward to it. So, we shall see. They gave us the biggest scare in the playoffs last year, and I'm sure they had some demons that they want to exercise, like I saw Kansas City do. We knew that they were going to come out. We knew Kansas City was going to come out playing inspired football. And they did. But at the end of the day, it was just um, uh, league commander. Congrats, Eagles fan. Y'all showing it again. It's tough to beat you. Yeah, thank you, league commander. Appreciate you. Flight Spirit. Nick Wright going to be on Haterade tomorrow morning live. Oh man, listen. My man Reggie told us last week that, Nick Wright got his start in Kansas City as a sports reporter there, a sports radio personality. So you already know he's already biased towards the Kansas City Chiefs already. And so now, hold on. Look at my quarterback, Jalen Hurts, you know what I'm saying? Talk that shit, my dude. But yeah, again, these things are going to be fluid. And Nick Wright, care less about him. He doesn't care. He doesn't like Jalen anyway. You know what I'm saying? So we'll never get the props that we other teams would be afforded if they were in the same position as us. So um yeah, again, can't wait to get on with my man Warren from the Eagles Collective podcast. And I'm gonna probably hook up with Philly 500 at some point, and do something with him and talk over this win. But as I said, as I've already stated before, that it is my feeling that this game will mark the beginning of the end of the sunset on the Chiefs kingdom and the sunrise on the golden era of the Eagles dynasty. Nothing's changed from that. To hold the Eagles to 17 points in their own stadium, that's an accomplishment in of itself. That's something that I know, most Cowboy fans can't even begin to imagine for themselves. Yet here we go. We did it again. I gotta go help my dad, Leo. Have a good night. Enjoy the win, brother. See you on Mark's stream. Absolutely, Joe. I'll see you on Saturday, man. And give my best to your dad. So with that, you know, who knows? Who knows, y'all? Like right now, just thinking about the things that we're going to have to fix. I'll probably get a chance to look at the stats later on this week, probably tomorrow, what have you, and do something. But I'm not going to keep y'all on here any longer than I have. I'll probably check it. I'll probably go live one more time tonight. I'm waiting for my man Warren to catch up so he and I can go back and forth and talk about this. Flight Spirit said Chiefs might legit miss playoffs, divisional exit at best. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I agree with that, Flight Sphere. I don't know if they're gonna miss the playoffs, but divisional, like, ain't nobody scared of them like that no more. You know what I'm saying? At least we never was, but now so it is what it is. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and break on out of here. I will see y'all later on tonight when I get on with the Eagles Collective podcast, and we're gonna do something, and I'll open up the bird section then. All right. I'll see y'all later. Oh, peace.